Hey everybody, I'm just spending some time here with my little man Littlefoot. He's our bearded dragon we've had for about 7 years. I hope you guys are all doing well. We're going to be checking out a new animal that we purchased today, as well as a new tank that we picked up. Thank you all for watching. Hey everybody, so first things first today is we picked this tank up today. We did stick to the isolation rules. She left it outside and I just went and picked it up, paid over PayPal, so that was all safe, don't worry about that one. But this tank, you won't even believe the bargain. Like, I'm insane. She purchased this for a reptile, but they ended up buying a puppy instead. And this thing's been in the shed or garage for about 4 years, I think she said it was, and nobody's touched it. He bought it from somebody else, and well, this thing's brand new. As you can see, this thing is absolutely glistening. There isn't a single mark on any of it. The backdrop's perfect. There's no scuffs on the backdrop. The glasses, I don't even think the glasses got even a scuff on it really. The locks all seem to work absolutely fine, which that's great. The mesh isn't at all rusted or anything. And she even put in the Exoterra lighting with the harness as well. I think they retail about £35. The tank itself can retail between like 100 and 150. She wanted £20. We paid £20 for this tank. This is a fantastic bargain. For any of you guys which are just getting into snakes, ball pythons, any form of reptiles, you want to be looking out for these kind of bargains, because some people can be really nice and they're giving things away for a really good price. Some people on the other hand might try and rip you off, so always be careful with what you purchase and who you purchase from, especially right now during everything that's going on. Well, I am absolutely so happy with this tank, and let's go ahead and start fixing it up. Now, I won't be telling you what animal we're putting in here, but we did just purchase it just before the isolation. We haven't had a chance to really put it out there yet. But let's see if you guys can work out what we purchased and what is going in here. So thank you all for watching. Let's stay tuned whilst we set it all up, and then let's find out what the mystery animal is. Right then, so first things first, we're going to throw in our Lignocells down for some bedding. Right, now we've got some bedding in. This is looking pretty nice. We don't have too much depth in it. We're going to put maybe a little bit more in after we've put some of the items in. Stuff like rocks and things like that, you want to definitely put your bedding in first, otherwise you could go ahead and start damaging different parts of the glass bottom if you're using a glass bottom tank like we're using, and you don't want to go scratching all the back of it and the bottom of it around. Now our bulb we're going to be placing in the top right corner, which I don't know if you guys can quite see, but it's going to be right here. So when I was saying about rocks, you don't want any rocks to be underneath here like this. You don't want any rocks in this general area, because what will happen is this bulb, even though it's set to a thermostat, it means nothing when it comes down to this rock, because this bulb will keep heating this rock, and this rock will insulate the heat. It will keep storing the heat, and over time this rock will get incredibly hot. Now if you have a snake, lizard, any reptile, then come and lay on this rock, especially whilst it's still under this heat bulb, it's going to be tempted to come and lay on here, because this is where the heat is, and it's going to burn it. It's going to burn its belly, and it's going to be it's not going to be good for your animal. It's not safe. It's definitely not a good thing to do. So what we tend to do is move all of your rocks to the opposite side of the enclosure. Keep your rocks in the cool side. It might not be the best way that you want it to look, but it's not always about luck. You do have to sacrifice some of the luck for safety. Most definitely. Safety is a hell of a lot more important than just it looking nice. So now we've got 2 rocks in. Nothing's fixed in place yet. We may move some things around. These are sticks that we used from our own garden. They're still pretty nice sticks. We've got quite a few. We've done it with a few different enclosures. As I say, we soaked all these in F10 to make sure that they really were held nice and safe and good to use. Now make sure this is all fixed in. We're not using anything fixed in. The animal which is in here isn't going to be a massive animal which is going to throw things all over the place. So that's always a good thing. It means everything we're putting in place will stay there. Now it's just a matter of trying to place it all in such a way where it looks nice and it can use it practically. Now the species that we're putting in here isn't an arboreal species, so this is mainly for aesthetics and just to give it places to hide once we've put stuff over the top of everything. This is just to look nice. The species that we're putting in is part of the colubrid family though, it is part of the colubrid family. It also happens to lay 4 to 20 eggs every year. So for any of you guys which already know some of your facts, we could be almost there with you knowing already. But they mature at 2 years old, which most snakes do. Most snakes do mature at 2 to 3 years old. That's when they're available to breed. Anything younger than that and you risk hurting your females. So you don't really want to play around with that too much. You want to just take your time, let them gain a bit more extra weight than they need to really. It's always better for them to be overcompensated. So I'm going to put that nice hide in there. So we'll start moving things around now just to make it all fit together properly. Still trying to make sure that these stones stay away from this heat because it's not just directly underneath it. You want it in a general radius around because heat spreads out down below. We've also got this little coconut. This came with him. Coconuts, we don't tend to have many of these in our tanks. I think this is actually the only second coconut that we have. I don't really see a problem with using them. A lot of people don't like using them, but I think it just depends. As you can see, there's 3 holes there, and these 3 holes are sealed, and they're sealed quite tight. But on some coconuts, these holes are there, and unfortunately some certain animals have managed to get themselves wedged through. So I would just suggest that if you're going to use something like this, a coconut, make sure that there isn't any holes for your animal to go through and find itself wedged in there, because it's going to be painful for your animal. It's going to be a horrible thing for you to have to deal with, and you're going to have to try and get them out safely, which isn't going to be easy. So it's best just to make sure that you just go for the ones which have actually got something there. Now I'm going to put that right under the hot side. Now as you can gather from that and the size of it, what's going in here is going to be a fairly small animal. It will size up to this tank, but it isn't going to be an animal which fits this tank instantly straight away. Now for a few facts about this animal, the male will get to about 14 to 24 inches, whereas females get to about 28 to 36 inches. And originally the animal which we'll be putting in here, they're found in meadows, floodplains, and they're usually found in North America or southern Canada. So are we starting to get there? Do you guys have any idea what this snake could possibly be? It is like I say, it's going to be an absolutely gorgeous animal. I cannot wait to show you guys. We've been hesitating off this. There's been a lot of photos on Instagram, on Twitter that we've been dying to put up, and we haven't yet. We've held back on that. So without further ado guys, let's have a look at the animal that we're putting in. Right over here. So the animal that we will be putting inside this enclosure, it is a diurnal snake, which means that unlike normally, snakes usually sleep during the day and then they hunt at night, whereas this snake is more prone to sleeping at the night time like we do, and then it goes out and feeds during the day, which is an absolutely fantastic animal if you like that kind of thing. Not to mention, this animal usually eats frogs, it eats eggs, it can eat smaller snakes, and it obviously eats rodents like other snakes do. Have any of you guessed what it is yet? Well, the big clue now is this snake is named for its upturned nose. It is rear fang venomous, and it is a hognose. It is a beautiful little anaconda hognose. Absolute stunner. Now these things, as I did say, they are rear fang venomous. All that means is that deep down in the back of their throat, around here, they have 2 small fangs. That usually envenomates prey once it has been eaten. It's going down, then it would envenomate them. So it's not like your typical venomation where when you think of it and you think of like a cobra or a black mamba with the front fangs, where any scratch from them and it's a worrying time. It's going to be a worrying time for you if you should even get scratched by one of these. But this particular snake, the sting has been, the bite has been compared to a wasp sting, and it's been said on many occasions that if you're allergic to wasps, you may be allergic to a bite from these guys. But for any of you guys which are worried about things like that, hognoses are more prone for headbutting. They use their upturned snout to headbutt and deter their prey. It's very rare that a hognose would try to envenomate you. I very much doubt it would ever happen. I think it mainly is the case of if you were confused one day when it were feeding, it may bite you, but then again it would have to take a long process of trying to chew to envenomate you. So the chances are very slim that you would get any sort of real envenomation from this particular animal. And should you get some, it would be a mild irritation, maybe a little bit worse, like I say, if you're allergic to wasp stings or anything like that. But these guys have an absolute amazing response when it comes to defending themselves. It's not exactly the useful response. I wouldn't say it would work in any way, shape or form, but it's great to know. And what they do is they will upturn their entire bodies, so belly side up. They will open their mouths and they will drop their tongues out of the side of their mouths to simulate death. They will pretend that they have passed away, hoping that the predator will then leave them alone and not be interested anymore. In most cases, as you would assume, predators still eat deceased animals. So it's not exactly the most, give my camera to focus, it's not exactly the most useful of defence tactics, but it is a very cool and interesting one non-alone. So what we're going to do is, we're going to place this little guy now inside his enclosure. We'll see if he likes it, we'll see how he gets on. As I said, these guys tend to stay on the surface or bury. They're not an arboreal species, so it most likely will not be climbing very much. But it is just nice for him to have these in there to, in a sense, get the brain working about what is in his environment. It gives him different ideas if he does ever decide to want to try that. As well as that, it gives him cover and closure. The more things that you have in there for any type of animal or reptile, the safer it's going to feel. Same with ball pythons. We do love ball pythons, we want to see them, but unfortunately we need to make sure that there's enough in there for them to hide should they wish to, because every animal is a lot more comfortable when it's hiding. Now this guy, as we can see, he's checking it round. He's got his snout on the glass at the minute. He's trying to work out what his environment is, his distance, his spaces, what he can go in, what he can't go in, whereabouts he can move and get to. But this is all part of the thinking process. This is a great time for the animal. But just look how gorgeous he is. Now obviously this is an anaconda morph, it isn't the original hognose morph. There is many morphs out there. So as you can see guys, he is very happy. He's checking out his surroundings and his tongue's going quite quickly there, which means that he's happy, he's tasting, he's not uncomfortable as such, he's just checking his environment. But he's looking absolutely stunning. So this is our new pet. I hope you all enjoyed checking out our new addition to the family. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you're all having a really good day and staying safe.